From the Opupco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly Inbox. Barry, we take email questions and answer them here on video. Let's get right to it. This one comes from Jim. Jim says, try to explain to me what makes Bill Snyder such a great coach. What does he do different than others? It seems like Jim might be questioning Bill Snyder's greatness at Kansas State.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I think he really is wondering. He really wants to know. I think what he means is, why can't Bob Stoops coach like that, is what he really probably means. But the answer to your question, Jim, is I don't know. How do I know? I don't know what makes him a great coach. I just know that he is a great coach. I do have a clue or two. The great Bill Snyder story that I've heard, one year, Manhattan, the football office had a big Manhattan had a big rainstorm, and there was a leaky roof and flooded part of the football complex. Bill Snyder's biggest problem was, and this was in the spring, it soaked some of his game plans for the coming season. This is a guy that works 6 months ahead on game plans. He's incredibly organized, incredibly detailed. He eats, breathes, lives football, consumed by football. Nothing falls through the cracks with Bill Snyder.
Yeah, and that detail, I think, Barry, that to me, and consistency with that detail is the thing that, when I think about Bill Snyder and Kansas State, it really stands out to me. No shortcuts. He hasn't taken any shortcuts. Now, granted, some people might say, hey, you go out and get a bunch of JUCOs like he does, and that's a shortcut. No, it's not, because you still have to integrate those kids, and we've seen around here junior college players come into OU and OSU, and they don't play right away or don't play huge roles right away. So you've got to have that consistency, your program. You've got to really drill the small details. And if you look at Bill Snyder's teams, they don't beat themselves. I think I've said that about 17 times on video in the last few weeks, but it's true. They don't turn it over very much. They don't commit a lot of penalties. That goes back to Bill Snyder and his consistency and his attention to detail. I think that is where you see some of his greatness. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Brett. Brett says, I just saw a tweet from something called a football rumor mill saying Mike Gundy is at the top of Arkansas's wish list. I got to tell you, Barry, I've never heard of football rumor mill, but what do you say to that?
I say my recommendation is quit looking at Twitter and quit looking at football rumor mill. With that said, I think Mike Gundy probably is near the top. I don't think he's at the top, but I think he's probably near the top of Arkansas's wish list. I mean, I think the Razorbacks are going to shoot for the moon. John Gruden, Pete Carroll, whoever pops into their head. But I think Mike Gundy clearly would be near the top of the Arkansas list. But the truth is, he's in a better spot now. He's a lot better off in Stillwater than he is in Fayetteville. I'm not saying he won't leave OSU or shouldn't leave. There are some jobs that are better, but Arkansas is not one of them. He can win bigger more often at Oklahoma State right now than he can at Arkansas.
Yeah, and I think he is going to be on some people's wish lists. And anytime you turn a program that's been middle of the road or lower half of their conference into a team that is winning 10, 11, 12 games, playing in BCS bowls in a tough conference, people are going to take notice of that, even with that big salary that he now has. And he'd command that sort of money wherever he went. There are a lot of teams out there that'll pay that because, Barry, they want to win that way. And they don't care if it's $3 million, $4 million more. So whatever that price tag is, there's going to be some teams willing to pay it. We'll have to see who comes calling potentially for Mike Gundy. This one comes from Isaiah. He says, would you imagine Bob Stoops wants to win another national title more than test his mettle in the NFL? The question of Bob Stoops leaving OU for the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a fun way to frame the question. Which would Bob Stoops want more? And I think the answer is he'd want to win another national title more than to test his mettle. I think the NFL does intrigue him, and I think it intrigues most coaches because it is the ultimate test of coaching acumen, everybody's level in the NFL. And if you win 14-13 over a mediocre team, you've had a good day at the office. But I think he does clearly desire to win another national title. So I would say the answer is the national title more than the NFL medal. But that doesn't mean he won't go to the NFL someday. I think Bob Stoops is in OU for several more years, maybe a long time. But I do think the NFL still holds a little bit of intrigue for him.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Barry, what you said before. Most coaches see that as their chance to, the ultimate. You want to test yourself against the best with the best, and in the NFL, that's what you do every single week. Bob Stoops seems to me to really be in his element coaching college football. I think he likes Norman. I think his kids and his family are settled there, and something to think about is, his kids are now sort of in that early high school, late middle school stage. You don't really want to uproot them, but maybe as they start to graduate and go off into college, maybe that's when Bob Stoops starts to test those NFL waters. Don't think he's going anywhere cold, though, Barry. I think he wants to go south.
No. I'm with you.
All right, lastly, back to the inbox. This one from Ray. Ray asked, does James Harden's star power fade in Houston? The beard has left the building, Barry.
Well, it's not going to fade if he goes for 37 points and 12 assists every night, as he did in his debut on Wednesday. But I think Harden's star power probably goes up, but maybe his profile goes down. Harden's problem is not it's not going to be stats, or it's not going to be status, and he may have a better chance at making an all-star team in Houston than he does in Oklahoma City. James's problem is going to come in the springtime of the year when the Western Conference playoffs arrive, and Houston's probably not in it, and if they are, they're going out in the first round, and it's going to be that way for a year or two or three or ever. And the Thunder's going to be playing in the West Finals or the NBA Finals or having a parade down the Bricktown Canal. And James isn't going to be a part of it. That's where his profile is going to take the hit. He's not going to play in games that matter, games that everybody's watching. And that happens in the playoffs. We love the NBA. We're eat up with the NBA. We sit and watch Minnesota play Toronto on NBA TV. But most of America gets fired up about the NBA in the playoffs.
That's right. And this is an interesting question because in Houston you're obviously you're in the town where the Texans are, a team that's got eyes at the Super Bowl this year. The Astros stink, but they've got some other pro sports there, unlike Oklahoma City. So where does Harden fall into that cavalcade of stars in Houston? I don't think he's as high there as he was in Oklahoma City, where he was a huge fan favorite, almost a cult favorite with the beard. But I think nationally, as Barry said, as a starter with those kind of stats, that's where you maybe will see his stardom rise. So it could be a little bit weird, Barry. In the town he's playing in, his profile could go down, but nationally it could actually go up. It's going to be interesting to watch. I know people here in Oklahoma City are going to keep an eye on the Houston Rockets this year. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.